What is good, YouTube? It's your boy OG Nonboy back with another video, and in today's video I have a team that I found on Purple Kyogre's channel quite a while ago, and he was able to reach Legend with this team, and this team consists of Pelipper, Registeel, and Galarian Stunfisk. So this team counters that typical trio of Lantern, Medicham, and Noctowl, especially if it is either a Medicham or a Noctowl in the lead. Like, you have a pretty solid matchup against that team, and also just like general play too against the rest of the meta. Pelipper is a very spammy Pokemon. You're able to reach those weather balls super quickly with the wing attack buff. Registeel, just a super solid tank, and of course we know that Galarian Stunfisk is a staple in today's meta. So without further ado, let's get into these matches here. First match, we have a Medicham lead, so let's see if it is the classic Noctowl and Lantern team. Another popular team that's kind of been floating around lately is the Noctowl and Charizard team. So we're going to actually be able to land this Hurricane here, which is absolutely huge. And they have a Bastiodon and a Diggersby in the back. So pretty good that we were able to bait out the Diggersby here, as our Galarian Stunfisk does have a very solid matchup against the Bastiodon in the back. So our Registeel does a lot better against the Diggersby, with the fact that it does know the Focus Blast, and also our Pelipper here should hard wall the Diggersby as long as it does know the standard moveset of Fire Punch and Earthquake. So it looks like opponent is attempting a full farm down, so we're actually able to reach this last second Focus Blast. And my Registeel has pretty bad IVs. It's just a typical raid caught Registeel, no special IVs there, so pretty lucky that we were able to survive. And they do throw a Fire Punch. I shield that just in case it is a Hyper Beam, since we don't really need the shields for the Bastiodon anyways, so they're going to catch. But again, this isn't really going to matter since we did have a pretty dominant matchup and pretty good alignment against their Pokemon here. So the opponent decides to concede the match there. So good games to them. Next match, we have another another Pelipper into Medicham, but this time they safe swap in the Drapion. So this is pretty interesting here. I don't see a lot of Drapion, but it's definitely a pretty solid pick here, and we're gonna have to tank a move before leaving this matchup here. And the reason why I throw a Weather Ball is because now they should be in Rock Slide range, and I'm also gonna stay in here and farm up a little bit. It looks like I might actually farm down at this point, all the way down, because we don't really want too much health anyway, since the Medicham will be coming back in most likely, and we should be able to farm them all the way down. And this way we'll be able to get a couple of Earthquakes off before the Medicham takes us out. So Medicham coming back in here, gonna get the first Earthquake off. I don't know if we'll actually make the second Earthquake or not, but looks like we will here, so that's pretty big. And our Pelipper obviously has a pretty favorable matchup against the Medicham here. And then we have our Registeel in the back for whatever they have in the back. So looking to be in a pretty solid position here, and it ends up being a Toxapex. So we're going to be resisting the fast moves, and they can only throw Brines at us for neutral damage, and Brine itself is not the strongest of charge moves, so we are looking to be very solid here. Gonna go for the Zap Cannon, and this may even debuff the opponent, so this will put them in an even tougher position. Man, I can't even speak this video, but at this point, you know, very solid position obviously. So we're gonna get off the next move here. I'm trying to overfarm a little bit, well, not even overfarm, but just kind of stall out my switch timer. And now we will be able to switch out into our Pelipper without giving the Medicham any additional farm. And then we just need to get to 2 Weather Balls here, and that is basically a GG. So opponent really just had to go for the farm down there, but even if they did farm us down, we still had our Registeel with some health left. So next match, we have a Pelipper into Azumarill. So this is a pretty okay matchup for the Pelipper, but since we are playing an AVB team, I do want to get out of this matchup at some point, so they're going to throw here. I'm going to let this go just because I know it's an Ice Beam and it doesn't hurt too much. So I'm going to throw the Hurricane here, and I think most likely I'm going to attempt to catch the next move, since that's typically how I do play the Azumarill matchup. But the opponent keeping their energy, I don't know if I miscounted or not, since I wasn't counting just then, but we're able to lure out a Galarian Stunfisk here. So gonna land the Focus Blast, and the Registeel matchup isn't too bad, just because you do see the Focus Blast there doing quite a bit of damage. But I do want Switchback if the opponent is willing to give it to me, so I'm going to go ahead and shield that first Earthquake, and then throw another Focus Blast. And I'm just going to let this go at this point. Now they should be in farm down range before they're able to reach another move, but for some reason the opponent decides to bait me there, which is a pretty interesting move. So I maybe should have considered shielding at that point, since if we were able to successfully shield the Earthquake, we could have just farmed them down and maintained switch advantage and had some energy coming out of that matchup. But the Azumarill shielding the Hurricane here, so makes me want to shield my Pelipper just because it does seem valuable against what is in the back. So Azumarill also staying in here against the Stunfisk, letting me farm up a little bit, so I'm kind of curious as to what is in the back now. I don't even know right now, since it's been a while since I played these battles here, but I'm gonna go for the Rock Slide, and this takes out the Azumarill, and it does end up being a Noctowl. So kind of interesting that the opponent shielded their Azu there, but I don't really think it mattered too much how they decided to play that out. We had a pretty dominant position, since we did end up having a Galarian Stunfisk in the back to meet their Noctowl. So second move coming through here for the opponent, and this doesn't quite KO, and we're going to be able to reach a Rock Slide, and they concede the match. So next match we have Pelipper into Frostlass. So we do have two better answers to this in the back, so I instantly swap into my Ludicolo, and it looks like the opponent was thinking the same thing, since they also instantly swapped, and they bring in their Ludicolo. So this might be a double Razor Leaf line, or like some sort of double like grass line. This one actually doesn't know Razor Leaf, it knows Bubble, so that's pretty interesting. But I'm anticipating there's another harder answer to Pelipper in the back, and they're also playing some sort of ABB style team. But we should be able to maintain switch advantage here pretty easily, considering we resist all of their charge moves, and they're twice debuffed at this point. So not too much of a threat to our Registeel. And they actually decide to bring in the Azumarill here, which is also pretty interesting, since we will be able to do super effective damage with our Zap Cannon. They shield that, and then they switch back into their Frostlass. So now I'm just going to bring in the Stunfisk here. I'm going to shield this up, and it's just going to be an Avalanche, but I'm going to go straight Rock Slide, it seems here. It looks like I also got a refund there on the last Rock Slide, like I did intend on throwing it right away. Or actually, we were desynced by one turn since we did swap in, and that ends up working out for us a little bit. Actually, not really, since they decided not to shield it. But threatening the Earthquake is the better play, since you may be able to draw a shield and then go for the Earthquake after. But now we're in a very dominant position here. Unless the opponent knows Hydro Pump for some reason, and they do end up knowing Hydro Pump, so this may be tricky still if the opponent decides to shield up the Hurricane. And let's see, the opponent probably running the Play Rough as well. So I'm gonna throw one more for good timing and then get the Hurricane off. So they don't shield this, so we're in a okay position here. Just have to get a Weather Ball off. No need to build up to the Hurricane, since the Weather Ball plus the wing attack damage will be sufficient. And I catch the move here. Pretty unnecessary, to be honest, just because even if they did take out our Noctowl, or not Noctowl, Pelipper from that point, we could have just farmed down with the Registeel. But I had to flex on them a little bit here. And then in the final match, we have a Stunfisk lead, and we actually win this in every even shield scenario, because we outpaced the Stunfisk here to the Weather Balls. So actually, I don't know if we win the one shields, just because two Weather Balls don't quite take them out. Like, we need the extra wing attack damage as well, so we do have to go down a shield if they decide to play the zeros out, but they're matching our shields. So they're able to get this next one off. And I'm deciding to shield it all just to preserve my Pelipper as much as I can, since we do have 2 steel types in the back. And maybe we need our Pelipper to take out something that counters the steals here. So opponent gonna get the next Rock Slide off. And I'm gonna throw one more because that's when they'd reach the Rock Slide. Like, I was getting a little greedy there, and it actually allows them to catch on their Trevenant. So I'm gonna bring in the Stunfisk just because it does have a decent matchup against the Trevenant. Our Registeel would have a little bit of a harder time just because it takes a lot longer to get to the moves, and you need 2 moves to knock out our Trevenant. So I'm gonna have to eat a Shadow Ball here, but we're gonna be able to reach a Rock Slide. And I throw on CMP, which kind of was a mistake, in my opinion, but we should be able to farm them down now with the Pelipper. And if they bring the Stunfisk in, we will win CMP. And I'm gonna go for the Hurricane here, which honestly is also pretty unnecessary, just because we need 1 move on our Registeel to take out the Pelipper, not the Pelipper, I can't even speak, the Noctowl anyways. So yeah, like a Weather Ball would have sufficed, but we were locked anyways, so I actually don't know what I'm saying right now. But now they're gonna bring the Noctowl back in, and it's not going to be enough because they did catch that move there. So really good on the opponent for catching the move, and we also kind of misplayed by not throwing our Rock Slide right away. So we kind of threw that match, but able to go 4-1 in the set. And this team did perform pretty well, and like I said, Purple Kyogre able to reach Legend with this team, and I'm sure there's also a myriad of other content creators who have also used this team that you can check out their battles and kind of learn how to play this team against some other matchups as well. So overall, very solid team. Go ahead and give it a try if you're so inclined. And that's all for today's video. I know the commentary was a little bit scuffed this time, but if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also submit your battles in the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.